Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela says he has asked the Public Service Commission to assess the administrators he has appointed to run the Services Seta, the Construction, Education, Training Authority, as well as the Local Government Seta. In a statement tonight, he says that this was in response to concerns raised by MPs and other stakeholders. Let's talk more about this with the EFF Member of Parliament, Sihle Lonzi, who joins us in studio. Sihle, good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
But quite bizarre coming out from reports that we have read recently when an administrator says he first learned about his appointment through the media. What does this reveal about the state of governance and decision-making, especially in the higher education sector?
I think when the new minister came in, there was a sense of hope in South Africa.
Yeah.
But I think all of us are quite disappointed now because we're beginning to realize that we have in fact replaced a tendency with another tendency. He's not behaving any different from his predecessor, who was flaunting processes, who was undermining due process and the Higher Education Act and the many other acts in the department which guide how things should take place. So, I mean, even his suggestion that he's now taking this thing to the Public Services Commission, what is he doing? He's investigating himself because he's the one who took the decision.
So you're not moved by that?
So we're not moved by that. I think, if anything, he's undermining the intelligence of the people of South Africa, of the many young people in South Africa whom the Setas are supposed to serve. So we don't see that as any deliberate act. If the minister wants to do what is right, he must withdraw the unlawful decision that he has taken to put these three Setas under administration without following due process.
Let's highlight your concerns here. You've raised questions about the legality of these appointees. Beyond the legal technicalities, what does this episode tell us about the ministerial power that is being exercised in South Africa?
I think certainly as a portfolio committee and parliament, we must talk about this because these unilateral decisions that ministers can just take without any accountability must be able to come to an end. I mean, we made quite early in the year proposals even to the then minister that when it comes to certain boards in the department, why don't we democratize this process? I mean, we look at how the JSC operates when they interview the judges. You've got a panel of different stakeholders from, the legal fraternity. You've got your judges, your lawyers, even political parties are represented. They go through a very vigorous process to try and ascertain who can then become the next Chief Justice or whatever, what you may. And then they still submit to the president. And based on that work that they would have done, the president then takes a decision. But it would have been a democratized process than this thing of just waking up in the morning and someone is appointed as an administrator. And as we have said in our letter, we have the strong view that under the Skills Development Act, 14A was violated, 15.1 was violated, including 15.4. So even before we arrive at how corrupt and dodgy the people of the ANC that he has appointed to be the administrators, the process itself, we hold a strong view that it was not followed.
I want us to crystallize that point. Section 15 of the Skills Development Act is meant to protect Setas from arbitrary political decisions. In your assessment, has the minister undermined the very spirit of the law here?
He has totally undermined it. So if you read 14A, it says before a minister places a Seta under administration, it must give written instructions to the Seta. 15.1 then says, the minister must consult the National Skills Authority and the Seta in question. We believe that this did not happen. Now, if the minister wants to invoke 15.4, which says in very serious cases of emergency or urgency, the minister may bypass the consultation. But even there, he must be able to give reasons. There must be deep financial problems. He must effectively be saying the Seta is in total collapse, and if he does not act now, things are going to be bad. But we don't see that urgency. Why? Because he was already undergoing board appointments in any case. He did a press conference not so long ago and said, we're going to finalize board appointments by the end of August or mid-September or so. The process of board chairpersons has been closed. We're going to make sure the process is transparent. So why do you bring an administrator as opposed to bringing a board? Because an administrator is one individual. You collapse the whole governance of the entity and one individual gets to take decisions on behalf of the whole Seta. Whereas if you've got a full board, you've got people from private sector, you've got the unions, you've got the various constituencies of the Setas, decisions are taken as a collective. That's good governance. That's King's Code. Now, what we're seeing now is a total capture, or rather attempt to capture of these three Setas, and we're not going to stand by and allow it.
Sihle, by placing these Setas under administration for 12 months, You argue that the boards are effectively being sidelined here. Let's speak about the risk. What risk does this concentration of power in the hands of one administrator, what does it pose for accountability and issues around oversight as well?
You're quite correct. It poses great risk. As I said, you can't have one individual. I mean, this guy, if you read the Gazette, he's going to participate on who becomes the CEO. If he decides to bring in a forensic company, he's going to terminate certain contracts, he's going to, take decisions unilaterally. Yes, they say you'll do it in consultation with the DG or the minister, but it's just the three of them. Whereas if you've got a full composition of the board, even if the board does wrong things, we still have eyes and ears of, 2 or 3 or 4 other honest individuals who participate in the board. So we can never agree to a single individual having the power that is supposed to be democratized and shared amongst a group of different constituencies that are represented in the Setas. Now, here's the modus operandi that they do, these guys. They bring in an administrator. They then appoint a highly overpriced, what they call a forensic firm. The forensic firm then does some, shoddy investigation, and then they look at the major contracts in the Setas. They say, no, this was irregular, this was irregular. They terminate those contracts, and then they re-advertise those contracts. That's where the patronage, that's where the corruption, that's where the looting starts to happen. So there's no justification why the minister wouldn't just simply complete the process of appointing new board members. We're almost done, we're here. Let at least come back to us after a year or two and say, we made a mistake in the appointment of these boards. By the way, if you look at the history of the construction Seta, it was put under administration twice by Minister Buti Manamela. The Duja report, which is a report that was birthed out of the former administrator, we're not even done dealing with the Duja report. We have another administrator. It's totally nonsensical.
Sihle, before we let you go, many ordinary South Africans also may see this as just another political dispute. Can you connect the dots for us here? How do these appointees directly affect skills development, for instance, job readiness, and issues around opportunities for young people especially?
I think, and this is why this becomes so painful. Because if we look at the post-secondary sector, a lot of us like to talk about universities and TVET colleges. But those two entities, can only take up about an odd 1.8 million students, in public education. We've got a lot of young people, what we call the NEET youth. They are not in education. They are not in employment and training. They are in the communities. We're supposed to locate them in the CET colleges. They are supposed to participate, in the upskilling through the Setas. They are supposed to be getting help through the National Skills Fund. But what we're seeing here is that all of these entities that were supposed to absorb the youth that we don't find in institutions of higher learning, the young people we don't find in the TVET sector, the young people we don't find in jobs, take them in, upskill them, give them the necessary skills so that they're able to contribute to the economy of South Africa. What do we see instead? That money is simply being used to advance patronage, to advance corruption, and recipher and redirect it to the programs of the ANC and the South African Communist Party. But that 26 billion rands annually was supposed to serve the many unemployed young people who are depressed, who are hopeless, who are languishing in the streets, who are languishing in the communities. And that is what the real fight is about now. Yes, it may seem like it's politics, but it's not just politics because it is affecting real lives and real young people.
Sihle, thank you for articulating your stance there. That was EFF MP and Higher Education Committee member Sihle Lonzi.